Thank you for that. I know that we've been talking about speech in the context of pro-Palestinian speech and these acts and the Trump administration. But Citizens United, let me just break that down for whoever may be listening so they understand. Citizens United is a landmark Supreme Court decision that was made in 2010, which, to put it in a nutshell, equates money with speech and equates corporations to people. This is what allows the existence of super PACs. And super PACs are a financial mechanism to fund political campaigns without having to have the same financial limitations as a 501c3 nonprofit like the ACLU Foundation, for example. So I'm just curious as to what you think about Citizens United and the role it plays in speech, in our politics, and if you or the ACLU in general has any plans to combat money in politics in any substantive way.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're going to continue to keep an eye on the docket at large, right? Whether it's the Supreme Court of the United States or federal courts below it or state courts for these issues. But at the end of the day, political donations, when the Supreme Court has held that political donations and money in politics is a form of speech, we are not going to be in a position to say that should be limited, right? Like it is, I understand full well about the impact of money in politics, but if the Supreme Court has ruled that it is akin to speech, then we are going to try to make sure that we are taking a position that is consistent with our free speech values, and that's really important to do. But I understand the controversy behind Citizens United. I understand why it's sparked such debate. But any rule that might limit which political speech is legitimate or which form of speech is more valued than another is going to have some constitutional problems. And so we're going to keep an eye out for these sorts of cases to make sure that our voice is heard.
Yeah, and I understand with the traditional methods of the ACLU, which is litigation and legislation, fighting against a Supreme Court decision is pretty much impracticable. I get that. But there are some pathways to overturn Citizens United, right? I worked for a organization called Wolfpack, and their goal was to introduce a constitutional amendment. And again, there's multiple ways to do that, as you know. The path that Wolfpack chose to further a constitutional amendment to make all the campaign finance public was to get the states to ratify for an amendment. And I believe you need 2/3 of the states to do that. And still, that's a huge uphill battle. Has the ACLU considered constitutional amendments of this kind as a possible solution to Citizens United?
Yep, I think I'll have to get back to you on that, but my understanding is that if there is a constitutional amendment to limit free speech, then we are going to oppose it. I
Right.
don't think that's the solution here. There are other ways to try to better our politics than to issue a constitutional amendment that undermines the First Amendment, does some harm.
Hey there, if you liked that video, then subscribe to my channel, click on the link in my bio to follow me on Instagram, X, and more.